Foxhole it, I guess, right?
Well,
or that was the Foxhole one.
That was the Foxhole one.
This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by ICOM America. All right, hello. Am I working? Test 1, 2. Let me turn the mic up. Let me turn the mic up a little bit. Oh man, we got interesting things going on tonight. Not sure what it is. Must be a full moon out there. Or YouTube made some changes tonight, but we're getting there. Hey, this is Amateur Radio Roundtable. I'm Tom Medlin, and you're listening to or watching Amateur Radio Roundtable. If you're listening on shortwave on 5130 on WBCQ, you're hearing our show on shortwave. If you've got internet, you can watch the show if you just go to w5kub.com and join us there. Join our chat room, and you'll have fun there. Let's see what, today is September 3rd. Boy, September 3rd. Seemed like it was just beginning of August here a couple days ago. But anyway, the bands have been kind of dead. We're going to talk a little about that tonight. And talk about some antennas. We've got Emmett with us tonight. Join our Facebook group. It's called W5KUB. It's on Facebook. Just search W5KUB. We've got almost 8,000 hams in that group now. We're trying to make it 8,000 mark. I think we're 20 or so short of 8,000. So please help us tonight. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, W5KUB on YouTube. We normally haven't ever pushed the subscription on YouTube because we kind of market our show as W5KUB.com and not YouTube. So that's one of the reasons the subscription number I think is down in YouTube. We've never really push that aspect of it, but we'd like for you to subscribe if you can. So I'll tell you what, Katie called me. She says I can't make it tonight, taking my mom to the airport, so she may join us later in the chat room there. And I just wonder if we have anyone new tonight watching the show for the first time. If you are, say so in the chat room, and would like to hear from you. Tom, am I blurred? I'm looking at the chat room. I don't know. Do I look blurred, Emmett?
No, you look normal.
Okay. Okay. I look normal blurred. Okay, very good. All right. Well, look. Hey, guys. Okay. Let's jump over to Emmett. I don't know where Dave is tonight. He's kind of been out the last few weeks. But he says he wants to get back in here. I think he's just trying to get his schedule together. So anyway, hey, if you look behind me, 7180, that's the frequency of our 40-meter net. Every Tuesday night at 5:30, we're on 7180. We had a nice net tonight. We had about 25 check-ins. Even though the band was dead, we were able to open it up, and we got quite a few check-ins. There's my official log right there.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my official log. FCC would throw me in jail for that probably 50 years ago, but yeah, hey, that's it now. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's go out to Missouri and let's check out and talk with Emmett. Emmett's with us tonight. Hey, Emmett, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, how you doing? It's been a couple days. I recognize there's just been a lot of things going on. It's good to see you, Tom. I like all the new changes that you've brought into the show. I think I like the new chat room. I think that's been a pretty good add-on. What was the reason for changing chat rooms?
Well, a couple reasons, I guess. One reason was the other chat room. The other chat room, I think, was kind of run by a mom and pop shop. It was pretty good for us for many years, but it was getting where I was noticing when we would do big events like Dayton and so forth, our numbers were always about half what they used to be when we were on a different chat room. So I don't know if there was some kind of limit. So anyway, we decided just to move over to Freenode. Freenode is a very popular IRC. They've got thousands of rooms and probably hundreds of thousands of people on here at any time. So we moved to them. They changed the look of the chat room a few weeks ago, and it was a little hard to get our handle around. A lot of people didn't like it, but I guess they're getting used to it. I'm using an international, a IRC chat client, so I've got a different client I'm looking at, which I can format it in many different ways. But anyway, glad you like the chat room, man.
It looks pretty much the same as it did. I think it's a little bit more responsive than the prior one. And what you just described to me probably tells me that their bandwidth was throttling you. Anyway, it's great to be back on, Tom. I'm sorry we couldn't see Katie. I'm glad that everything's okay up there.
Yeah.
Couple of things I thought we were going to be talking about tonight. Obviously, we could talk about the hurricane. We can talk about bad weather in general, because this is that time of the year where the weather is changing, lots of things are happening, and we need to start preparing for the winter. And that means doing some stuff outside and so on. And we'll obviously talk about the one thing that I talk about all the time is that your major investment is on the inside, and you need to start thinking about the outside in order to give yourself that sweet sound that you want to hear on your radio, especially in these terrible band conditions. And Tom, you showed off a couple of those charts about what propagation was like in the last day or so, and it's not pretty. And I think at times with in amateur radio, this is where it becomes challenging, which to me that makes it exciting. You never know when it's gonna be like fishing almost. You never sometimes know what's gonna bite and when. It's all a matter of being there, and when it happens, basically catch as many fish as you possibly can, and in this case, make as many contacts as you possibly can.
Well, I've noticed that the bands have been dead, but when there are contests, people get on. That's right. Kind of interesting. So the same thing, the bands are dead now, but we had 30 check-ins tonight. Some had pretty good signals. But let's look at this. I had this picture up earlier for people out there in watching just to let them know what this is. This is the maximum usable frequency over a 24-hour period. And on the left side is the maximum usable frequency. If you look closely, the center of that scale is about 4 megs or 5 megs. And then if you look across the bottom, that's hours of the day from midnight to afternoon, and then midnight again. So that's 24 hours across. And if you look at that, say about, 3/4 across that graph, that would be about 1800 UTC, which is about 1 p.m. in the afternoon here locally. So at 1 p.m., if you look at that graph, you'll see that the maximum usable frequency is about 5 megahertz. And of course, we know 40 meters is 7, so that's why if you're not hearing on 40, the propagation is just not there. So that shows you right there that the band is not good above 5 megahertz, man.
Right. And that's where, it's not just the radio that you have and all the stuff you have in the shack. Now it's about what kind of antenna are you using? Is it optimum for the frequency that you want to use? And then so on and so forth. But that's going to be some fun discussions tonight, I think. The one thing I've always had to deal with is get on the air and be able to communicate with other people no matter where you go. Back in the day, I got stuck in places that you wouldn't believe, and my only job was to make sure that we could get a signal out so other people could communicate with us. And I think we're getting to that point now where, you're seeing a lot of different things pop up. You're looking at the new modes FT8. You're looking at what I've really been excited about is 2 meters and above, or actually I should say 50 megahertz and above. We're starting to see a lot of interest and a lot of people doing things with it, because it just seems like these are opportune bands to work on in these conditions. And then it's also kind of cool too, because we're now exercising areas that a lot of the common hams haven't exercised in years, that we've had available to us, but now, because of band conditions, we're starting to explore these things like satellite communications, like Earth, Moon, Earth, like single sideband on 2 meters, and seeing how far we can communicate just using the 2 meter band, or the 440 band, or the 220, or 1.2 gig. It's just amazing, and for me, it's exciting, because it means a lot of people are starting to experiment, which I think personally that's what this hobby for me has always been: is experiment, try something new, and go from there.
Yeah, well, Emmett, you were talking about even UHF or VHF. I guess 50 megahertz is kind of in the middle. Propagation really does affect it a lot. But when you get up into 2 meters and 440, I mean, that's pretty much line of sight stuff. Of course, propagation will take you some great distances sometimes with ducting and so forth. But, I guess the propagation really affects us mainly, 6 meters and below?
Yes, anything below 50 megahertz, typically propagation is the king. And when we don't have propagation, about the best we can do is mostly local communications with relays. A lot of the nets that are going on right now, especially some of the emergency communications nets, the thing that works, that seems to work, is that we've got a lot of relays. We're relaying from point A to point B, and it might only be a couple hundred miles, if that much. And of course, the other modes of communications don't necessarily work, so this is the best we can do. And this is where using those nets and exercising the relays, and being really good at copying messages and then forwarding it to the net control, or forwarding it to the next relay so he or she can forward it to net control. These are all things that we all have to keep in mind, especially during this time where we've got multiple things happening in different parts of the country and in different parts of the world.
Yeah. Hey, Emmett, let me ask a question here. Can you move over?
Yes.
Can you move over to your right, or maybe over to your left, and I'll join you in your studio?
How's that? Whoop, too far. There we go.
Well, that might work. Let me see if I can join you.
Hey.
Hey, how you like that, man?
It's this
Okay,
way.
I'm in there. Let's see.
There you go.
Let me just come down
Move over a little bit farther. There we go. How's
try
that?
this.
There we are. Hey, this looks good.
Hey,
Tom,
there I am. I'm in your. Hey, I like this. I like your new area here, man.
Well, things are going to be changing as time progresses. I'm starting to finally set up the lab here at the new place. A lot of the reason why you guys haven't seen me very much is, and many of you probably don't know, a lot of you do. My wife, Rochelle, KC0YWH, in January, ended up going into the hospital and having a quadruple bypass. And then shortly after that, around April, towards the end of April, she ended up experiencing congestive heart failure. And we've been living a touch and go life for the last, it's actually been before January. It got to the point where Rochelle couldn't even walk into the Walmart, or even get from the car to the Walmart, to the front lobby at a Walmart without having to stop and breathe and all that neat stuff. And it's been a very long, arduous, scary. It still is scary, but the good news is she's doing better. For about the last 4 months, she's had a defibrillator vest that she had to carry with her. And some of you who were down in Huntsville and I think in Dallas who got to see Rochelle, she was wearing her defibrillator vest with her, as she did the show. And then I think at the Huntsville Ham Fest, she didn't have it on because she still had it. Okay, she just recently the doctor finally released her. She went from 13% heart function to 57%, and that's significant.
Oh yeah, good.
heart function is up there. The thing is, she does have congestive heart failure, so we're really going to have to, babysit her on the meds, diet, all that neat stuff. And the good news is I'm on the same diet that she's on, and I think I've lost maybe 25, 30 pounds since, since Rochelle's been going through what she's been going through.
Well, that's great. We're glad to hear she's doing better and she's able to get out now and go to some of these Hamfests with you.
Oh yeah, it's this last one, especially in Huntsville. She says, "Honey, I'm gonna have someone drive me down there if you don't take me." And I go, "Okay, you're coming, dear. You'll just stay in the hotel room, okay, so you don't get stressed." And then she goes, "No, I'm gonna go to the event and I'm gonna have fun. I'll take it easy and I'll let you know if I need to relax." And so this was her real first show since she had her heart issues start to pop up.
All right, well, we all wish her well. Everybody in the chat room is wishing her well, and just take care of her. And I know you're spending time taking care of her. That's the most important thing to do there. Oh
yeah, I get to be Nurse Emmett for at least into the near future, which is I don't mind it a bit. Actually, it's been kind of nice because we've kind of looked at doing things differently than we have ever before, and I think it's done good for us. The only thing is, the drawback is I haven't been able to spend time on the radio. I haven't been able to do a lot of the things that I would normally do because I want to make sure that I'm around or someone's with her at all times. And the good news is that's starting to clear up, and so I'm not having to be as attentive as I have in the past, so it frees me up to do things like visit with you, Tom. Great, and we love it when you guys visit with us, and especially when you're on a show here. We've missed you. Hey, let me ask you a question here. Let me jump in something before. I think we're going to talk a little about some satellite antennas and maybe some other things, but before we jump into that, we were talking about the maximum usable frequency, and as people know, my son Chris, AC5CM, he's not in the chat room tonight, but he moved to Austin. We're trying to get him on the air. He's in a very strict HOA, no tree, no nothing out there. He can't even run a wire out, I think, and put a ground rod in, so real restrictions. So basically what we did for HF is I sent him some very fine, it's like hookup wire almost, that's like 24 gauge or something, black. And I had him come out the window with that, go over the house and down the other side, and that's the antenna. And then for the ground or counterpoise, I had him just run some long random length leads, down a floor or down a stairwell or something. So he's got a very high noise level, he says, and I'm not sure if that's because it's an inferior antenna. But the more I'm seeing on the maximum usable frequency here, I think that's a lot of the problems. He can hear people talking. In fact, he did make a contact with somebody, I think, on 80. And of course, that's down in the bands that the MUF is working right now. So I think we're going to have to consider that maybe the antenna is working better than we think it is. We've got a little auto tuner on it, so it's tuning every band. It's tuning, 80 through 10 meters. But he's got noise. Yeah, actually, with the band conditions the way they are, noise levels are always going to be high. Where I'm at now, we had to move too. That was the other thing that happened shortly after April. It was determined that it wouldn't be good for us to have, the size of the place that we were. So we pretty much downsized. Which I'm not complaining. It gives us a lot more freedom than we've had before because we're not spending all our time cleaning, maintaining, and doing all that. And so now we're living in a condominium in a really nice community. The only thing is they're extremely restrictive on how to get on, on what can be displayed in your property. And of course, that it's set up to where it's against the rules where to have an antenna, or you're lucky to be able to have a dish antenna. It has to be hidden in the backyard behind a fence kind of thing. So needless to say, one of the first things I did when I got here is I did run a wire from down here in the lab, which is in the basement, and I ran it up to the roof, and then I'll start doing some documentation on what I'm doing here for a lot of the people who are restricted in space. Interesting thing, though, and I was talking to you about that earlier, Tom, was we have the MCOM 1 that is now my mobile shack, even though it's not really a shack, but it's one of those things where if I know I need to get on the air and talk to someone, I end up basically packing like the ICOM 7610 or the 7300 or whatever radio, take it to the, deploy it at some location, get things set up, and then get on the air. And it's given me two good opportunities, and that's to constantly to become efficient in how I do things outside. Mm-hmm. In other words, I have everything set up inside MCOM 1, but different situations, different conditions provide me with different opportunities, and that's the way I look at it. Is what's the best setup I can do in the space that I have. And, I try to go with a resonant antenna as much as possible. And Tom, I think that's probably with your son too. We figure out where, how long that wire is, and let's figure out where the antenna is naturally or natively resonant, and then maybe tune it to where it will work, as in tune the antenna to where it works at least on one band, extremely well, and then let your autocoupler do the rest. A lot of people say use the in-fed type antennas where they're multi-band. The reality is in your son's situation and in a lot of people's situation, we want the least amount of loss as possible, especially in the band conditions that we've got right now. If you have a resonant antenna, it's going to be a quieter antenna. It's going to be a lot more sensitive on the bands that it's resonant on, and you'll actually have a better operating experience.
Yeah, well, we just brought the wire right straight through the window and plugged it right in the back of the tuner, so again, we're having to be very stealth, and I think it sounds like you are too there. Somebody mentioned, how about a magnetic loop? The magnetic loops, I'm just not sold on those. I guess they might be okay.
Well, you got to remember that all you're doing with the magnetic loop, especially the small magnetic loops, is you're using a capacitor to bring resonance, to create a small resonant circuit. And remember, the surface area of that loop will get peaked at that one frequency, but it won't do much anywhere else, and it won't be anywhere near as sensitive as, let's say, a wire that would be, for instance, let's say 40 meters. I can do 40 meters where I live right now. All I do is I run a 66-foot, or if I wanted to do an in-fed or an off-center fed, all I do is I run, for instance, a 66-foot wire. And what that will do is give me at least 40 meters, with some form of something close to native resonance. Yeah. I run that wire. I'm using the very small wire. I would use, it's a Davis RF wire. It's a poly stealth wire. It's 26 gauge. It's made out of steel and copper. It's a black, very thin cable, and I can run that, and I can tuck that in underneath my shingles in places that people really wouldn't see. And unless you know what you're looking for, you'll never know that antenna is physically there. And where you can generally get that Davis RF wires at our good friends at HRO and the good friends at Gigaparts and R&L will generally have it as well. It's some good wire. I typically always have 1,000 feet at the shop, and on MCOM 1 I'll typically have about 260 feet broken up into smaller sections so that I can pretty much patch together an antenna real quick that would be resonant on the frequency that we're trying to operate on.
Well, we'll keep you posted on what we come up with there. It's kind of hard to experiment with it with the band dead, So
you betcha.
We don't know if we're making improvement or not, So we're just going to have to play with it a while.
Well, one of the things that, like I said, with the bands being dead, it's like fishing.
Yeah.
Especially fishing is like my dad, he's one of those guys that could walk up to a lake and he could tell you what fish are probably in the lake, where they are and what it's going to take to get them to bite. And then he would also tell you too that certain fish won't even be doing anything right now, mainly because of the temperature. And it's the same thing for us. We have to anticipate that we're not always going to have the best conditions. My wife sometimes, Rochelle, will get a little frustrated with me because I'll have the radio running in the background and all you're hearing is white noise. And what happens too is I can tell when the bands start changing is because it's going to sound like a shower, and then next thing you know, it kind of dies away and comes back up again, and then dies away and comes back up again, and that's telling me the band conditions are changing, which means guess what? It might be functional here in a few minutes. So my mindset has always been not to give up. Obviously, if it's really crazy as far as the band conditions. Don't try the super high frequencies. Go with what's kind of working, and then if you want to do something on 20 and the bands aren't really there, listen and send out a signal every once in a while. Because you'd be surprised how many people are really listening, and they're just not they're not doing anything because they haven't heard anybody. So
yeah.
And that's why when you're hearing these contests, I think that was one of the other things we talked about is during contests. All of a sudden you hear a lot of people and, trying to make contacts, and a lot of them aren't making those contacts. But the thing is, you can hear them, which probably means they can hear you. And there's your QSO that you're looking for. And my suggestion is go out there and try it, which is kind of a nice segue to one of the little sections I wanted to talk about today is that Tokyo Hamfest. Oh my gosh. Talk about, some cool new products that came out. Did you hear about ICOM's new 705 and the PW2? Oh my goodness. I'm glad they're coming back with I look at it as an all band, a multi-purpose rig, which I love.
Isn't that one a QRP rig?
It is it's a 10 watt rig. It's not a 5 watt, it's 10 watts.
Yeah.
It does everything up to 50 megahertz, and then it does 2 meters, 440. And to me, that's like, holy moly, that's great. Of course, it only has like one antenna jack, so you'll either use a combiner or you'll use use individual antennas and then switch to the band that you're going to be operating on. But to me, that's an exciting thing, especially being able, like a long time ago, before Rochelle was having her heart condition, one of the things that we would do on the 4th of July would go to New Hampshire, go up on Mount Monadnock, and I'd sit up on top of Mount Monadnock during the day and into the evening using my QRP radio with my different antennas up on the mountain, and it was cool. And I look forward to seeing how this product is going to fare in the new environment. Then of course you got ICOM's new PW2, which is it's a different look, but from the looks of it, it really looks nice. You can hook up to 4 antennas to it, and I don't know if ICOM is using 6 antennas. Excuse me, I'm looking at the back end of it right now, with a LAN port, which is nice, and a controller. So it's like a lot of neat features with that amplifier, and I don't know, and I'm not going to say that that's a feature for the PW2, but it used to be that we could program, like antenna 1 can be for these bands, antenna 2 can be for whatever, and it would automatically switch to that antenna when you switch to that band, which to me that's a really cool feature. Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, Teresa, thank you very much for your help up in Dallas. It was greatly appreciated, and I wasn't able to fully thank you for that. She's been putting some comments in there. Money, I do have no idea what either one of these products are. I've been reading the rumors on the web, and it's been on the new 705. They're talking about sub $1,000 pricing, which to me that's great. Has a built-in auto coupler and everything, and the only thing you need to do is supply some power and it works, which is nice.
All right. some good products coming out, some nice ones coming out.
Oh, yeah.
More toys to buy, right?
Oh yeah, I should probably share my screen here in a few minutes. Let's see, how do I do that?
Down at the bottom somewhere. See the new Skype. There's a little box or something down there you can click on. A couple boxes. It says share screen.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a product that let's see, display 2. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out where everything is at right now.
Okay. And I'll step out of your
Okay, there we
studio
go.
when you bring it up, so I won't be in a lot of your...
There you go. Whoops, that's it right there.
Okay.
One of our new products.
All right.
I know, that was mean of me, wasn't it?
So now, is
that-
that something that's coming out or already out?
Well, it's something that we're working with the government or with the military and some government agencies, and what we're looking at doing is making an amateur version of this, because one of the things I've seen a lot of at quite a few of the Handfest is someone saying, well, it'd be nice to have this antenna like the military uses. Well, what I'm trying to work on right now is make something that's a great satellite, lightweight, easily deployable, and is optimized for the amateur band, not optimized for the military band. For instance, the one that you just saw a picture of, it covers 220 megahertz all the way up to 550. Which is nice. It covers everything. Then we're also building another unit that's a little bit bigger that covers from 110 megahertz all the way up to 200 megahertz. So you have that WeSat, and you also have the amateur 2-meter sat. It's circular polarized, and we're looking at making it switchable for amateurs, so you can go left-handed or right-handed polarization. Let me go ahead and go with the full screen. Then, of course, this is one of our really becoming quite popular antennas. This is our Quasar Quad. In this unit, it is a 2-meter 440 antenna. This is the 2-meter elements out here, and these are the 440s. It's a 4-element quad on 2 meters, and it's a 7-element quad on 440. And I've got a couple people right now, they're literally using 2 of them, one with horizontal polarization and the other one set up for vertical polarization. And what they'll end up doing is put it on a rotator, like a portable rotations, azimuth elevation type rotator, and just basically track their satellites. I'm going to try and have... by the way, one of the things that we're going to be doing here at the end of the month, on the 28th, I believe it is HRO's. Let me pull it up here real quick. HRO Superfest, which will be on the 27th through the 28th. And we're planning on attending. We're going to be bringing MCOM-1 to the show. Oops, let me see if I can bring that up for you. There we go. Oop. Yeah. We're planning on bringing up MCOM-1 and having it set up outside and operational, so that way we can play and do all kinds of things. But the one of the places that you can get the quasars will be at HRO, as well as Gigaparts. Gigaparts has them in stock right now. We're working with HRO right now on getting some stocking into the stores as well. But it's been a fun product to play with. This is that's just the 2-meter quasar, and that's designed obviously to work in the 2-meter band. It can be set up for horizontal or vertical polarization. Some people have actually, because it is a quad, have just set it up at 45 degrees off, so it's it's in between vertical and horizontal, and they seem to be able to maintain their connection with the satellite as it passes over. And one of the things I think is pretty interesting is how many people are getting involved in the satellite programs. the other day I just discovered I've got a new target I'm going to try and go for. They actually have a DSAT satellite, and one of my goals will be to try and get onto the DSAT. Try and get a QSO going on that. What was that? Yep, there we go. And then yep. Oh, that's a 7610 with just a real quick change here, just for a second. It's been rumored that we kidnapped some Legos. For instance, you've got the Unikitty and you've got that other Lego right there, plus Emmett. They snuck into one of our boxes when we were down in Dallas, and they've been kind of riding with us ever since that show. And Emmett has been quite interesting. That's Emmett at NASA. He's on an F2 rocket motor right now, and he's looking at doing some calibrations. And of course, it was an interesting time down in Huntsville. I love visiting the Space Center there. All the neat things that they've got. So anyway, I just needed to do a little bit of a change on that. But we are going to be up in Dallas. How do I get out of this? There we go.
Click on those boxes.
Stop sharing. Okay,
yeah,
there we go. Much better. We're really looking forward to being up in Milwaukee for this next special event. We plan on operating out of IMCOM 1, plus obviously we'll be at the store as well. So we're getting kind of excited.
All right. Hey, we went down to the Space Center too, and we were down there a few weeks ago and had a good time out there. It was hot.
Oh my gosh, it was warm. This was actually the first time Rochelle's been able to do what she did. In other words, walking around the museum. She did get a little warm, so we had to go back inside. But that was good too. A couple other things that are going on, Tom, is that little hurricane that we got happening right now out on our coast. And there's been lots of stories about amateur radio operators and some of the things that they're doing out there. I'm going to say one thing real quick. Do not self-deploy. The good news is that the hurricane is no longer a Cat 5, but it's currently, I don't know what the rating is, but it was down to a Cat 3. Mm-hmm. It's popping between Cat 3, Cat 4. And right now, the good news is just Dorian's outer rain bands are the only things that's hitting Florida right now. And they're thinking that it might just stay on the coast and it won't go inland. So you're not having to deal with the big storm surges that originally they were forecasting. I know Cape Canaveral got some water with the storm surges, but the good news is that you're not getting hit with 150 mile an hour plus winds, and we're not looking at a steamroller going across the coast of Florida, which that's a great thing. Yeah,
James Lee just updated us as a Cat 2 now.
Yep. Thank you, James. And by the way, one of the things I've been doing in the mornings is James Lee has been doing some videos of what's going on with the hurricane out in Flagler County. Plus, he's been doing some daily videos of what the coast looks like, and they put together a really nice video on storm preparation, on what they're doing for their go kits and so on. And if you have a chance, I suggest going to YouTube and looking up Ham. Oh my gosh, James, what's the Ham Radio World?
Ham Radio World dot.
No, hamradio.world. That's right.
Yeah, that's it.
Let me look it up right here, real quick. I'm sorry, I had it on my computer. But yeah, I would suggest strongly just give them a look. There's a lot going on. You've got a lot of people who want to participate and help. You've got a lot of nets going on right now, and my suggestion is that if you want to participate, you can participate where you're at right now by listening. One of the things that I listen to all day long is the marine mobile nets on both 7 megahertz and 14 megahertz, 14300, and then you've got the Salvation Army Saturn network, which is 14.265, and starting I don't know exactly what time to what time, that net is always operational. And my suggestion is, if you want to listen, check in. And if you hear something and no one else is getting the message, go ahead and be the relay. Because during these kind of conditions, this is what we really need the most, is people listening and passing on information. You don't necessarily even have to do it on the radio. You can do it by phone, send messages or grams. That's what we're here for.
Well, all right. I know you said that, let's see, what's going on here? Oh, is my mic working? Yeah, I know you said you may have to leave early tonight, Emmett. I don't know how much longer you have. You just let us know.
I got a couple more minutes to go. I just wanted to show you, this is from where I'm living right now. This was a couple days ago, or actually about a week ago. If some of you who really know me know that I'm a rabid photographer as well, and this was my backyard, or in our backyard, effectively, the last couple days. And as you can see, there's a lot of stuff. Let's see, there we go. Some really beautiful. Let me see. I'll go ahead and enlarge it. It's beautiful, but absolutely deadly and dangerous. And you can see, like down in this area, you've got two lightning bolts. You've got lightning bolts going up here, right there. Then you got another one that's over in this area as well. And it was pretty wild watching this stuff come in. The thing that we need to start thinking about is, when we're having this type of these type of thunderstorms, this is one of the biggest reasons why we need to be grounding our equipment, disconnecting your equipment if you're there, and then also making sure that you have surge protection, those lightning protection on the outside before it comes into the shack, because it just gets. Let me see. There we go. Look at that. See the lightning? Look at that. See that lightning right up there? And you can see a couple stringers here. You have another stringer there, and then you got multiple strikes down below. So all of this can happen at any time, and it's kind of scary at the same time too. See, did I already? No, I didn't. Okay, there we go. And this is all within a period of about 45 minutes. And you can see the lightning basically striking that tree, which was quite interesting. We checked on it later on down the road, and of course it's split in half right now. So it's one of those deals where, when you start having this kind of weather, or experiencing this kind of weather, you need to start thinking about what you're really going to do to protect yourself and your equipment and the people around you. Obviously, you shouldn't be on the radio with that type of weather in the area, and you should err on the caution on the side of safety instead of what you really want to do. So, do we have any questions out there?
Well, let's see. Yeah, James wants your picture for a QSL card.
Okay. I will send. I know what you're looking for. I'll send you. I'll give you a link to all those photographs in that subdirectory, and you can pick whatever you like. Are there any questions out there in the chat room, or did we want to take any phone calls?
Well, there's a question. Do you publish any of your photos? They like your photos.
Yes, they do. As a matter of fact, a couple of these photographs were used by a couple local weather stations here in St. Louis. Plus a lot of, like, my astrophotography and a couple other things that I do they get published, and they've been published, and they're in use at this time. One of the things that we also do with IMCOM-1 is I am a licensed drone pilot. We do fly, we can fly, and we have flown. This last year we had a levee break here in St. Louis that flooded so much area. One of the things that we did during that time was, fly surveys. We did some, just do some quick aerial inspections of some of the levees and so on. And, a lot of those photos are quite interesting as well.
Well, let me see. I will try to put the phone number up here real quick. Let's see if I can get it up here. Let's see if that'll work.
Call 911-911.
All right. Yeah, if anybody has a question for Emmett, if you got a question for Emmett, give us a call right there. Here's the number. You have to put in the code in a pound sign. Let me see if the phone lines are up.
Whiskey Zebra 1 Lima, Bill. That's actually a good thing. Typically, what he basically says is all coaxes are disconnected until I use the radio. Pretty much back where we used to live, and even now, I will not have no antenna will be connected unless I'm using it, and then when I'm done, I disconnect and pretty much ground the coaxes.
I keep mine disconnected all the time.
Q&A session has started.
Is lightning a concern for random wire antenna where there is no true ground? Yes, lightning is a concern in the sense that you need to make sure that your antenna is not connected to your radio. Especially a random wire antenna, even a resonant antenna. The bottom line is it needs to be disconnected. You can use the lightning suppressors, but those only go so far, and it requires you to have a good ground before you come inside, and not necessarily rely on the electrical ground. Because if there's a lightning strike, go ahead.
Years ago, I would put my end of my coax in a little glass jar, and I've been thinking about that, and I've been seeing people talk about that. Hey, if lightning can jump, 6 or 8 mile gap, I think you can jump through a little glass jar.
Well, yes and no. The glass jar is an excellent insulator, so it mitigates it not propagate that lightning not propagating into your room and around your shack. In other words, I have been at transmitter sites where lightning has struck, nothing has been connected, and I've seen it go from one thing to another. I mean, literally, you'll see the lightning, literally arc from one thing to the next thing to the next thing.
Well, if your antenna's below the power lines, I guess that gives you a little bit of safety, but still, if it hits that area, man, it's going to come down on your wire too.
Yeah, you have another effect that most people don't take into consideration. It's not necessarily just the electrical, but it's also the magnetic impact. I've been in environments where you had a lightning storm the night before, and all the computers were fried, the screens were fried, and they weren't even connected. Because we had EMPs from the lightning, and those have been some of the freakiest lightning storms I've ever experienced. You could actually feel the energy in the air. It just felt like kind of a crinkly, staticky feeling, and it's something you don't want to experience. And that's generally why I keep my hair cut short, because I have really curly hair, and it's probably because of all the lightning.
Well, we're not getting any calls. I think the phone number is working. I hear the music. Yeah.
One other little thing that we got some callers?
No caller yet.
One interesting thing that we're going to be doing this year with MCOM 1 popping back onto the emergency side is we will be going to Las Vegas around the 1st of January. We'll be participating in the 2020 Rising Stars IEEE conference, and we're going to be helping out some postdoc, pre-doc, and some of the rising stars inside the electrical environment, or as part of the IEEE. We're looking forward to that. We're basically giving people a practical experience. In other words, we can go theory all the time, but the one thing I've learned over time is I can do as much math as I can, and I can come up with the answers that look good. But unfortunately, real world quite often is completely different than what my theoretical world is. And it's going to be fun participating with the IEEE in this, with MCOM 1 and the rising stars. There will be some ham radio operators there that are rising stars. We're also From what I understand, they're going to be setting up a VE session just for these kids. Not really kids. Some of them are grown-ups, so I don't mean to insult anybody. But we're trying to arrange for some prizes for some of the guys that and gals that get their license while they're at the conference.
Well, that's cool. I'm a member of the IEEE. Hey, a quick story, 30 seconds. I applied for to be a senior member in the IEEE, just to move up from a member. So you had to have a recommendation letter, and there was a guy at work. His name was Hangu.
Oh no!
Hangu, and guess what word processing changed his name to?
What?
Handgun.
Oh no!
Yeah. My letter had handgun. I think we found it before the letter got out, but anyway, it all worked out okay.
Oh my! Well, we're really looking forward to that. As a matter of fact, what's going to be so cool is we're going to have a miniature comics where right now we're looking at some government agencies will be possibly participating with us on this. Remember, MCOM-1 is not necessarily an amateur vehicle. It is designed for land mobile, emergency services, and so on. And one of the things that the theme will be, and this is, I thought was that when Phil told me all about it, AA5EX told me about it, I almost immediately says, yeah, we got to do this. The theme is going to be communications during the zombie apocalypse. And when you think about it, I've been to Joplin. I was around during 9/11. And the one thing that really struck me was during Joplin, right after the tornado, a lot of people were displaced. A lot of things happened, and a lot of people had their entire lives ripped out from underneath them. And they would literally walk around at night during the day, and forgive me, it's not meant as an insult, but they did appear like zombies. They were in that trance-like state, waiting for this, this reality to switch back to the reality that they remembered just shortly, within 24, 48 hours ago. And, trying to come to terms with the idea that their life is totally changed. And the idea of communications during a zombie apocalypse, yeah, it's kind of got a sexy name, but the reality is when disasters really do strike, how are we going to communicate? Are we going to really rely on our cell phones to get us from point A to point B? We've got so many different options now. We've got
Standby caller.
Say again?
Yeah, we got a caller. I told him stand by.
Okay. We've got HF, we've got VHF, we've got satellite, and with some of the new satellites that are coming out,
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, stand by, caller, stand by.
All right. Yes, sir.
One of the things that oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought here. Well, the reality is we've got so many different options, but the only way that we can be helpful is if we practice all those things that we do. And that's why, believe it or not, some of the things that I'm doing with MCOM-1 right now, or the team is with quick deployments, with a lot of different smaller deployments. It's making us become more efficient, and we can quickly set up and configure the systems that we want for the given situation. But anyway.
All right. Well, let's see who's on the phone. We got a couple people on the phone here. Who's on the phone?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah. Hey, it's SpongeBob here. I'm coming from Illinois land. Greetings, fellas. I enjoyed all of your topics of discussion, and I'm sorry I'm behind.
It's okay.
Okay. Well, very good. Do you have a call? Do you have a ham call?
Yes. Well, formerly as WB9 Boston Japan X-ray. I'm.
Okay.
I'm. I a lapsing call, and I'm taking it.
Well, that's okay. Not a problem. Just work at it and get that license back. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm 64 64 plus tax. I'm going to have to get back into it.
Well, you can do it. You'll do it. There. Did
Now's a better time than ever to get into it.
Did you have a question for Emmett?
Excuse me?
Did you have a question for Emmett?
No, I've just enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the discussion about antennas.
Okay, great. Well, let's see. There's another caller. Oh, we got.
I enjoy your show.
Yeah, we've got three other callers here. Let's see who else. Let's see who else is on here. Just stick around. Don't leave us. Who else do we have on the call?
Tom, can you pick up KG0BK?
KG0BK. Hey, Russ, how you doing?
Hi, Tom. Hi, Emmett. Hey, I've got a comment first, and then I've got a question also. And well, let me do two comments because I got to give Teresa a little static. That I'm glad she finally admitted to drooling. And the next thing is on the lightning thing. A lot of people think these lightning arresters keep the lightning from hitting them. You don't have to have a direct lightning strike. You can be close to your antenna anywhere and get all kinds of effects. We had in commercial radio, in fact, all the towers do. They have a ball gap, at the base of the tower, and it's grounded, and there's a gap there, an inch and a half, 2 inches. And I've seen lightning go through it, and I've also seen it go through the doghouse, all at once on a more or less a direct. This wasn't a direct hit, but it was a close hit. So nothing's going to protect you completely from lightning.
Correct. But the only thing we can do is mitigate the effects that lightning can have on us. And, obviously by following some very basic practices, it will help minimize the problems that we've had. I've been in a couple transmitter sites where literally everything was disconnected because we were changing out a couple cavities, and it literally, you saw the spark go from the outer part of the coax, and it literally jumped from unit to unit to unit, and it's one of those things that it's
unpredictable.
You have a good idea how it's going to go, but you never really know. It's one of those things that will surprise you every time, and you'll say, "Man, I am so blessed to have been able to walk away from that one."
We had one hit. We stayed on the air while the AM transmitter went down. I poked it right back on, and it came back on. But SWR was crazy, and finally went out the tower after the lightning subsided and all that, and found out why. Apparently there was a rat that was crossing the tuning coil about the same time the lightning hit, and it kind of shorted out my tuning coil. So with the help of somebody else, we got that cleaned off and everything was fine, but it was something else. But I do have an antenna question. They're remodeling our entire apartment. In fact, I'm in a 3-story apartment building. Well, there's 3 sections. I'm in the 3rd section, but there's 3 stories. I don't know how many apartments we've got, 5 or 6 in this section. But I'm on the 2nd floor, and he says they want to do my apartment too, but they're going to do the one next to me first, and wondered if I would have a problem just moving into that one when they got done. And then they'd go ahead and remodel mine. Well, the only problem I have is right where I'm at, my dipole antenna is really nice. I'm feeding it right in the center, and it's working quite well. And now if I move down there, I'm going to have to offset or feed it. I was wondering, maybe would a straight wire, like a random wire, say 66-foot, work with a artificial ground? Would that be close to what I have?
Could you ask me? I'm sorry, I got interrupted for a second there. What was the question again? Off-center fed. One of the things that
he's asking about an end-fed, 66-foot end-fed with an artificial ground.
Actually, that would not be a bad thing, believe it or not. Feeding it 66 feet on the end will give you so much. You've got a quarter wave on 80 meters. You got half wave on 40. You got a full wave on 20. Yeah, that would work just fine. And then you use you can use a broad. You can use a I would just use a coupler of some kind, a good one, preferably a remote one, as in, like one of the LDG ones that you can get from HRO. It's a remote tuner, or actually MFJ also has a couple really good remote tuners that you just kind of stick out there. It uses a bias T. So you just run your coax to it, you press tune, and quite often it should bring that wire into it'll give you that match that you're looking for. And because you're using a fundamental of 66, you should be able to do a lot with that.
Okay, that's what I was hoping. So you think that would be better than trying to do an off-center fed?
Yes.
Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do with Chris. We got about 65 feet of wire out, and we're trying to get equal counterpoise inside the house,
Well, that was what I first caught on to, and I thought, I got to ask about that because that's kind of what I'm going to be into here. So I think that's what I'm going to do, because I tried it off center fed here in the apartment on 20 meters, and it was pretty noisy, but it worked okay, but only on 20 meters.
So
anything else.
Russ, will you be able to stretch that wire out across the lawn, or do you have to put it around on the building somehow?
Well, we've got like a deck that goes around it's built like a deck. It's probably railing's probably about 4 foot from the building, and I'm on the deck, on the upper side of the deck, so I'm about 25 foot in the air right now with a dipole. So that's what I'm going to do with that, but I can only go about 66 to maybe 75 foot most in one direction. Right. So if I got to move to the end apartment, that's all I can do is go up, past my window now instead of where I'm at, more or less center.
Right. Another antenna that we make that we use with special operations, what we've made it for amateur use as well, is our our Pathfinder Rangers. Actually, our Pathfinders, and that's an in-fed. And generally it's an all band antenna. But like I said, if you can do a good auto coupler outside at 66 feet, I think you'll probably get the better overall operation as far as what you're trying to do. And because you are going to be working at a fundamental on 40 meters and everything else, some of the key bands, that should be really helpful for you in dealing with problems with noise and so on, because like I said, the antenna is more resonant and more functional or efficient in the frequencies that you're operating on. So the noise level should be lower, and you should be a lot more sensitive too. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Do I need to feed that with a 90? Can't think of the number of Ballon now, but the high-end Ballon, the 90 something. What I would suggest is actually, if you want to, go ahead and give us a call tomorrow sometime, and go to and basically call the tech support side, and HJ and Kevin can walk you through that, because it's not an uncommon thing that we deal with. But yeah. There will be a balun that you can get. It's actually a matching section. But the optimum, like I said, would be an auto coupler. But if you don't want to mess with that, then yeah, our Pathfinder would probably be the best one. And James uses the Pathfinder all the time when they do their expeditions and special special functions and so on.
I think we've got James on the phone.
Okay, well, I'm done here, and I've used too much time. Thank you very much, Tom.
Okay.
Emmett, you've been more than helpful, and I'll check the antennas out tonight, and I'll give them a call tomorrow. Thank you so much. Hey, Tom, you were coming in here at S7 tonight, so you had a good signal back here in Iowa. Talk to you later.
All right, man.
Hey, by the way, Phil, yes, we can do some drone stuff when Phil from who's one of the organizers for the IEEE conference just sent me a message about doing drone work at the IEEE event, and most definitely we'll do that.
Cool. Is James on the phone?
I sure am. How you guys doing?
There he is. There's James.
What do you know?
WX4 TV's on the phone.
Watched your video this morning. That was really cool.
Yeah, hey, thanks. Yeah, it's man, it's been a long week here in Central Florida.
So what's up, James?
Well, sitting here pulling aliens duty at the EOC. We've got a bunch of shelters covered, and waiting for the rain bands to come and go. And like you guys talked about, I'm headed to the Bahamas here, either Thursday or Friday, to help with some logistics communications. And taking several of your antennas, Emmett, taking the 75 and 40 meter and 20 meter double bazookas. Also taking a terminated folded dipole, which you guys make, but I don't have that one. Taking a bunch of stuff so that we can make sure we can set up an antenna and have some communications to help coordinate a massive airlift that's getting ready to go into the Bahamas. I've been looking at some of the pictures, and I saw the satellite picture just now on Facebook, and it's incredible. Grand Bahama Island looks like it doesn't exist anymore.
Well, from what I've been seeing, it's been like a big scouring pad that's just been for the last 2 days, just scouring all those islands in the Bahamas. And the cringe factor is at 10 for me when I look at it. And I'm going to be really interested to see, from your perspective, how things are.
Yeah, Emmett, I've been getting in front of hurricanes since 1992. August 92 was my first professional hurricane intercept with Andrew. And I've never seen satellite pictures that look like that after a hurricane went through. And I can't imagine 185 mile per hour winds just sitting on one spot for longer than about 10 minutes. Typically when a hurricane goes through, they have those eyewall winds for no more than a half an hour, if that. And those guys in some of those places had it for over 24 hours. It's incredible.
Well, it looks like the U.S. is going to get spared pretty much. Florida is not going to get the, I guess, the major storm that they thought it could hit. They lucked out.
Yeah, we did. It's funny. Hope and Grace and I did the U.S. Island Award Program contest last Saturday. I guess it was last Saturday or so, and a week ago Saturday, and spent the night on the island. And I was pretty tired from doing that, and then did some work on Monday, and then Tuesday we started seeing this little blob spinning around and started looking at it, and there were points where we thought Florida was going to take a real beating from this thing, and it's just been like a week or so of waiting for a hurricane to come. It's been worse than Christmas, so it's nice that it's going away and missing us like they think it will. We'll probably have some power outages and things, but man, I tell you what. Those poor people down in the Bahamas. I've been to a lot of places as they were getting hit and after they were getting hit, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like what I'm seeing in these aerial pictures from the Bahamas. It's going to be incredible.
Well, I know that we've been on standby ever since last week, and the good news is it looks like we may not have to deploy. As far as here in the United States is concerned, but it's still interesting because we've been contacted by some other places, seeing if we could if they could drop us somewhere. Which one thing about IMCOM-1 is that just a second here is that it's set up to where if we have a plane, we'll fit in a C-130 or we'll fit in a C-5A without a problem. See, are you getting that one? Yeah, there we go. And pretty much we're all self-contained, and the idea is that we can run 7 days on our own, obviously setting up the electricity, communications and so on until the other emergency services agencies can get there and set up their main CPs and so on. But the hard part is just to think about the devastation that's going on right now.
Yeah, it is. And actually, it'd be really cool because I'm going to be working with an aviation airlift, and it'd be cool to see an airplane land and you drive out of the back of it. That would be really a sight for sore eyes. Really, what we're doing is we're going to do a proof of concept. After Hurricane Maria tore up Dominica, they had an airlift that went down there. What was happening with the airport where they were landing, Keenfield Airport, is really small. It's right there on the beach. And there were some planes that came with relief supplies, and there was nobody came. And, they get on they're downwind, and they look down and see that the tarmac was full of airplanes. They weren't able to land. What we've been talking about for a couple of years was using amateur radio to dispatch airplanes and missions of stuff that they needed so that they would be able to coordinate an airlift. And even though it looks like there may be some internet communication with Abaco Island where I'm supposed to be going, we're going to attempt to do it using WinLink, using voice communications. We've worked out the licensing and the third-party traffic agreement rules. And these people work with people who own general aviation and corporate aviation airplanes, and they donate their airplanes, the fuel, and their pilots, and they carry goods that have been donated. And the NGO, and I'm not at liberty to say their name right now, but this NGO doesn't take a dime from anything that's donated to them. Even the directors don't take a salary or expenses, so it's really cool to see how much they put back into the people that we're helping. I first met them when I was down in Haiti. They were formed after Katrina, and hopefully it's going to work, and we're going to end up helping them be able to coordinate stuff so that if it does happen again where there's absolutely no communication, we have a tried and true method with amateur radio to make the contacts and to do it. Now, I've been told to expect, I don't think this is going to be the case, but they said to prepare for and expect to live at the end of the runway where I'm the only person there until a plane lands. In very austere conditions. I'll be taking a tent, an easy-up shelter, 2 power film solar panels, a bunch of lithium iron phosphate batteries from Biono Power, the Go Box that we made with the 7300 and the ICOM TMB71, a bunch of antennas from you, a 25-foot mast. I mean, I'm going in heavy, and hopefully we'll find some hams from the Bahamas that they'll see the mast and hear the squawk of the radio and come in and say hi, and then we can have somebody to help out. But it's going to be an interesting week or two. You'll
probably find some help down here. Those guys are gonna want to get on there and get the word out, I'm sure. We need to move on in just a moment. We're running kind of late tonight. How you doing on those cookies there, Emmett?
I don't know. I can smell them.
Yeah, I'd like one with some ice cream right now. Well, hey, yeah. James, when are you heading down there, James?
Tom, right now it depends on when the storm clears Florida. We're looking at either Thursday or Friday. More likely probably Friday, because I still not completely packed some of the stuff that I have deployed, my own gear that I have deployed in some of the shelters here. Okay. Volusia County is going to go down there with me.
Just good luck to you.
We're looking at Friday.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you, and just keep us posted.
And I will, Tom. I'm actually your email is on my list of people to contact.
Okay.
With WinLink when I get down there, so you'll have updates about what's going on.
Okay, and hey, if you can get some internet connectivity down here, maybe we can connect up on video or something, get you back on here.
Absolutely, we'll do that. Guys, thanks for having me on, and I will be going to bed. I've been up for a long time.
All right. Thanks, James.
All right, thanks.
Have a good one, James. It's great talking to you, buddy.
All right, Emmett. Great to see you and Rochelle a couple weeks ago. It was really a treat to see her up and walking.
Goodbye.
All right. I got to turn that phone off. Okay. Hey, guys. Okay. Well, we need to move on. I've got another segment here in a minute. It's called When the Enemy Attacks. It's kind of a teaser. I haven't told anybody what that's about yet, but we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. So, Emmett, thanks for coming on, man, talking to us about all the different antennas and different things we can do with them.
Thanks for having me on. Look forward to possibly doing some more here in the near future, now that the lab is finally getting set back up.
Yeah, we will. We'll have you on as often as you can get on with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We'd love to have you there, man. All right. Well, thanks so much. Go get those cookies. Tell Rochelle hi, and hope you have some ice cream to go with them. Boy, that'd be good right now. I've got the ice cream here, but I don't know if I got any brownies.
Have to have Rochelle come over and make them for you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right, Tom.
All
Have
right,
a good
man.
one, buddy.
All right. We'll see you.
7-3.
All right. All right, everybody, just stand by. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about what to do when the enemy attacks. Heard it, worked it, logged it. It's time to get the transceiver that's best suited for your lifestyle. ICOM offers a variety of high-performance and innovative products. Make the most out of contesting with one of these ICOMs today. The IC7610 is the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR has the ability to pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The ICOM 7610 is a direct sampling software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. It has 110 dB RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual Digiselect, changing the way entry-level HF is designed. The IC7300 is a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design that will far exceed your expectations. It has RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and an SD memory card slot. The IC7851 allows you to keep your competitive contesting edge with faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. ICOM's IC7851 is the pinnacle of HF perfection. It has dual receivers, digital IF filters, memory keyer, digital voice recorder, high-resolution spectrum waterfall, enhanced PC connectivity, and an SD memory card slot. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. From QRP to QRO, fixed stations, portable and remote, an LDG tuner will match your radio to your antenna using our lightning-fast, proprietary tuning algorithms. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing innovative, quality products to the amateur market. All LDG products carry a full 2-year warranty that is fully transferable. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
All right, we're back. And let's see, I got a few things just want to talk about here. I think we can work it in our schedule here tonight. Several people have asked me about my amplifier, and boy, the amplifier is really doing a good job with the band conditions we've had here. As you guys know, I got me an Alpha 86 amp a couple months ago. This is a 1500 watt or legal limit amplifier, continuous duty, leave it on forever type thing. But my fan blower got to making noise in there, and my fan finally went out. And if you kind of look in the center there, the center arrow, that's the fan, a little black thing down there. And to get that fan out, I had to just about disassemble half of the amplifier. Starting at the bottom there, I had to take the tube deck out. And then on the back side, I had to take a circuit board off that had the SO239s for the antennas and the input. And then I had to take a relay out there on the center wall. I had to take out the vacuum relays there. But before I could take out the relay, I couldn't get to the screw of the relay because there was a circuit board over it. But I couldn't get to the screw because of the circuit board, but I couldn't take the circuit board out because the transformer was in the way. So I had to remove the 60-pound transformer, then the circuit board, and then I could get the screw out of the relay. I had to drill new holes, reposition the relay. The new fan I put in was just a little bit taller, but we were able to get a new fan in there and get it all put back together. And Man, it's just working outstanding. I love this amp. It's probably one of the best amps I know that's made. They quit making it in about 1988, so it's a quite old amp, but it is a workhorse. So that's my story on my Alpha 86 right there, and been having a lot of fun with it. All right, so I teased you guys on the net tonight. I kind of teased you and said we're going to have a segment called when the enemy attacks, and I kind of use that phrase when I talk to people. If they get in a situation and say, oh, I need this or I need that, or and we're running out of time, I always say, look, man, if the enemy's attacking, what would you do to solve this? And what I've got here is just little hints and kinks. ARL used to publish in their magazine a hints and kinks section where it was just little bits of hints of things you can do, and I just want to show a couple of them tonight. So let's say you're soldering. I've got a soldering iron, a welder soldering iron. This is about a 140 watt one. I've also got a 240 watt one, which is good. But when I'm doing large projects, you need more heat, and this is pretty much instant heat, and it's I've had that soldering iron probably 60 years. Well, what happens is the tips finally burn out on them, and if you ever had a welder, I'm sure you had the tip burn out. And if you live in a little town somewhere, there's no store where you can buy a new tip for your welder. So basically, I have found, and my uncle showed me this in a TV shop 50 years ago. There's a tip that was removed, but he showed me this about 50 years ago, and he just took a piece of number 12 wire, bent him a tip, stuck little nuts on it there, and bent the ends and stuck it in and tightened it down. And that number 12 wire tip, to me, works about as good as a store-bought tip. And I'll use a tip like that probably for 2 years, and it'll finally get pretty thin at the very center there. You can see, if you look at that, at the very tip, you can see it's starting to burn and get thin. But I'll bend me a new tip and put it on there, and it'll last about, several years. You can see it's tinned on the end, and hey, guess what? It works fine. So I know that's not the right thing to do, but hey, if the enemy's attacking and you don't have a tip, remember, you can make you a tip and it will work, and it'll keep on working. So that's one of the little hints I wanted to give you guys tonight. Hey, another little hint is, let's see if I've got it here, I can show you. Okay, how many of you guys ever needed a 9-volt a clip, or I guess I'll call it a 9-volt clip? It's the little attachment there, it attaches to the 9-volt battery. So, those things tear up, they break, they may get acid corrosion and deteriorate. So if you need one, well, hey, what if you're in a little town and there is no electronic shop? And the only way you can do it is order one of those on the internet and get it in about 30 days from China. Or you can do what I do when the enemy attacks. And when the enemy attacks, what I do, I just take me a old 9-volt battery. Let's see if I got one here, if I can show you. Well, okay. I'll start right there. I'll take me a 9-volt battery right there and a pair of dikes or cutters, and I'll just kind of peel the top back where the connector's on the top of that battery. And let's see. I'll just peel that back, and I'll cut that little end off right there, and I'll solder me a couple wires on it. Red for plus, black for minus. And there you go. I made me a clip right there. Now the only thing you have to remember here is what was plus is now minus on that clip. If you look at a battery, it'll show you what plus is, And when you make your little clip right there, you need to reverse the lead. So when you put it on a battery, the polarity is correct. But that's a quick way to make you a battery clip if you need one. Take it off of a dead battery there. Oh, let's see. It's about 9:24. It's about time to start wrapping it up here. Yeah, okay, there's a picture I was looking for earlier. All you guys have got the 9-volt batteries around, I'm sure. And just take that top off and you've got it made, man. So that's what I do when the enemy's attacking there. If you're new to the show, or even if you're not new to the show, join us on Facebook. W5KUB is the group name. And we've got about 8,000 members in here. We'd love to have you in a ham radio group. Post your pictures of your shack in there. Katie will probably pull your pictures off and we'll show them on a show one night. Join our net. Join our 40-meter net on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Central. It's usually at 5:30 p.m. on 7180. So join us there. And let's see what else is going on here. Just have fun, I guess, until we see you next week. I don't remember if there's anything else I wanted to talk about tonight or not, but it was great having Emmett back on the show. I hope that next week Katie will be back with us. Maybe Dave Castle will be back with us and some others. So I'm going to say it's 73 to everybody. Thanks a lot for watching tonight. And let's start working on HF. Hey, watch the Facebook group. I usually post in Facebook that I'm on 7180, and usually in the afternoons about 5 o'clock or so. And we get quite a gang on there every day. So watch for that on Facebook, and it'll tell you when the gang's getting together. 73 to everybody. Enjoyed it tonight, and we will see you next week.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.